Hey folks, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. We are on the test server, but it's not really a test server video. Today, what we're going to do is in preparation for hard mode faction wars, which I don't know. I hope it's like a surprise drop next week. I'm worried it might not come for a couple of months, maybe long. I don't know. When do you guys think it's coming? But we're preparing today anyway. I did a part of a video recently where I went through a few factions and said these would be the teams that I would actually use. And you guys said, no, we love that idea. That's actually a great idea. It's a great video. Could you go through all of them? So we're going to do it. We're going to go through all, what, 15 factions. And I'll show you, first of all, the teams that I'm using right now. And then how we're going to switch them up. Because, I mean, spoiler warning, you're going to see, for example, like this is a great example. A lot of the teams I use right now, multiple examples here are very simple in concept, and that concept is we go in with maximum damage to just farm faction wars as quick as possible, and we put in a rare champion for the quest, the advanced quest, which I hope will be removed. But I guess we'll see. So let's do it. And again, we can redo all of my presets because we're on the test server. I really didn't want to do this on the live game because it would waste a ton of time. Also worth mentioning, we are going to be looking as well. In fact, I think when I put this video out, we'll actually be having a meeting with Hell Hades, the other writers at hellhades.com and designers and whatnot, about how we're going to do faction wars on the website on hellhades.com, because it's definitely due an update. It's been a long time since any of that stuff was touched. Like I've been just brainstorming a bit. It's interesting. This is like some of my thought process. Sorry, it's blindingly white. I should have warned you, but I also find it funny not to. This is sort of how I look at building teams, but I thought this was maybe too abstract and that this maybe isn't actually as helpful. But I see it as basically four main roles. This is very similar, by the way. If any of you follow my Honkai Star Rail channel, this is how Ridewind does their tier list. But basically damage, right? Champions that do damage. Enhancement champions or amplifying champions, they make you do more damage. Control stops the enemy from doing things, and protection champions so keep your team alive. So for example, within damage, I'd say direct damage, enemy max HP, all bombs, poisons, necrosis now is new, even activating those as well. Well, I feel like control, yeah, I feel like it breaks down a bit. I actually feel like protection is fairly straightforward. All the like shield, ally protection, continuous heal, veils, intercept, revive on death, block damage, etc. I would sort of consider, decrease attack, decrease crit rate, decrease crit damage, leech as protection. Arguably decrease accuracy as well. And this is where there's definitely some things like, what is decrease accuracy? Is it a control move or is it a protection one? Where it gets a little vague, or like decrease speed. Is that control? Or that arguably could be enhancement. It sort of lets you do more damage. You get more turns relative to the enemy. Some of the stuff's a little bit vague. Obviously, these are somewhat arbitrary, but yeah. This sort of the gist. I figured that this was maybe, I thought in particular the enhancement categories may be too broad and a bit confusing, because you've got like beneficial buffs, I think, would fit in here, like increase attack, increase crit rate, etc. Arguably reflect damage and counterattack would just be damage. But yeah, decrease defense, weaken, decrease resist, or all let you do more damage, do more stuff. But also things like ally attack, decreasing your skills, turn meter boosting, that sort of stuff. So I was like, man, there's a lot in this. Let's break it down more. So this is my inclination right now, is to do 6 categories instead. So you've got damage, which is just stuff that does damage. A debuffer. It's applying debuffs to enemies, not crowd control, but other debuffs. So pretty much all your debuffs are going to fit in here. Even stuff like Deathbrand. Where does Deathbrand go? Is Deathbrand, does it make you do more damage? Not really. Does it control the enemy? Kind of. It stops them from reviving. Just calling it like just a debuffer is a bit more general. And by the way, all of these things are the champion filters. So if we go to like our champs screen here, like these are basically, I went through and included all the buffs, debuffs, and all the other effects. I think that's important to incorporate basically the nomenclature that's actually in the game. Yeah, so a debuffer, it's all these sort of debuffs. I also put in stuff that's technically not debuffs, but related to it. Block, revive, transfer debuffs, increasing duration, spreading them. I guess one question was, for me, was I've put like decreasing enemy turn meter increasing their skill cooldown, but also removing buffs and stealing buffs. I put that as control. Though they could arguably be the debuffer category as well, but I've put them as control, which is, your typical stuff, which is, provoke, stun, sleep, freeze. Block actives, I'd say, is certainly control. Block passives arguably could be a debuff, but I said put them together, just make it a bit more straightforward. Then a booster, as opposed to the enhancement, which is covering lots of stuff. A booster is more just beneficial buffs plus ally attack, boosting turn meter, and then perhaps activating. This is a question. Does activating burns and stuff, is that like a booster? Or is it someone that's just doing damage? I don't know. And yeah, that's sort of it. And then splitting out Reviver, which is just someone who revives. There's not much to this category, but I think when people look at faction wars, one of the main things you're going to be like, ooh, who's the reviver for the faction? Who's the best reviver for the faction? Which I think is kind of a useful metric as well. So this is sort of how I'm looking at it right now. How does this factor into building teams for faction wars? Well, you kind of want a bit of everything. I think for hard mode faction wars in particular, you're obviously going to want at least one damage, like proper damage, so that you clear the stage in reasonable time. For, progression, for just getting 3 stars on the stage, that's probably the most dumpable thing. Though the longer the fight goes on, the more chance there is for stuff to go wrong. Certainly for farming it, and it's going to be definitely something you farm, you always want damage to do it quickly. A debuffer is basically likely fairly essential to go with damage, but again, not necessarily. Like with stacking enough ignore defense, and you could probably ignore a lot of these debuffs. Booster likely is definitely going in there, like increased speed, ally attack, turn meter boosting. This stuff is very strong. Control, I think, is going to be very essential for the waves. For hard fat, I'd be shocked if it's not. I mean, I think we look at Cursed City as a good example. I think control is probably the most important thing. I suppose decreased speed fits in there as well. Decreased speed, but decreasing their turn meter, locking them out of their skills, blah, blah, blah. Protection's important too, to take some hits and survive. And some sort of mix of this stuff. So let's take a look. Let's actually build some teams. But yeah, I thought it'd be just sort of interesting to bring you a little bit behind the scenes in terms of at least how I'm looking at it to a certain degree. And then it'll be interesting to see what actually happens, because they're just my initial thoughts. And it's working with the team. What are other people's initial thoughts? How do they go together? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. We go left to right. Let's just go left to right. YOLO. So, Lizardmen. I think I covered this one in the thing. This is my current team, which is mostly lots of damage. This is an interesting one for sure. Let's actually move me over here. It makes more sense. So over here, we'll include the Master Vault. Great. So obviously, let's go in. Lazarius goes in 100%. Like, this might not be useful to you, but shocker, Lazarius is going in for me. Top damage, boosting, reviving, control. He literally does so much. He does so much in the one kit, on top of having a 25% speed in all battles aura. Just an amazing, amazing mythical. I'll probably, like I said, I'll probably be bringing in a Krisk for control and protection. Then, I don't know, Romantu might be pretty decent as a damage dealer, actually. He could be a good damage. He also brings the AoE block passives and some block actives. He brings some AoE fears, good single target damage. He actually might be quite strong as a damage champ. Then Draco, maybe. I also think just pure speed control from Necmo might be pretty good. And Necmo, because he's used for Chimera, he's in 9-piece Feral, he's in pretty good gear. He'd be pretty strong. He's very similar to Krisk, so we could maybe even ditch the Krisk and just use Necmo. But I think Krisk, we might even do double Krisk. This might be a decent play. Low on damage, but lots of control, lots of protection, reviving. Yeah, this might even work. Something like that. Or maybe we ditch the second Krisk and maybe we do bring in a Pythion for block debuffs and cleansing just to make sure we're safe. Yeah, that might work. Or we could bring in Krokmar. I'm going to say probably my initial thought is maybe go more offensive and go like this. This might work and see how it starts. So I'm going to start off with this composition. Yeah, this seems good to me. It's pretty offensive, but hopefully will work. So there we go. I'm going to lock that in for lizards. And let's say we go with that. So it's actually, it's very similar. we're obviously not going to set up presets. There's no point in setting up presets. But yeah, you know, I've got Lizarius, I've got 2 Krisks. It's maybe not the most accessible, relatable thing. Who was the last champion? Yeah, Necmo. And like I said, there might be some tweaks there, but that's a good initial start for Lizards. Seems decent. And like quick glance, we've got damage covered somewhat. We're actually a bit, like I said, actually a bit weaker on damage. Lazarius and Romantu, they're decent damage, but not crazy. We do have some poisons from, and a bit of damage from Draco as well. Good bit of debuffs from, Champ. We got control from Krisk and some blocking stuff from Romantu. We've got lots of boosting from Lazarius. We've got lots of protection from Krisk. We've got boosting as well from speed boosting, turn meter stuff from Necmo. And we've got the revive. We've got everything covered. Yeah, I think so. So that seems like a solid team. Probably generally, you know, I've been playing this game for a few years, so my teams are probably going to be generally quite good. This is my current. God, this faction is so strong offensively. Holy crap! Like terrible defensively, but my God, like Wukong Marius, and I've even got a freaking mythical 5-star. This and Nishak, like this faction is literally all offense, no defense whatsoever. Take a quick gander. I mean, we won't even bother to, you know, like he can be played as a defensive champ even. This is going to be a tough faction to keep alive. I'm certainly tempted to go full offense here. We could go like this. This could work. That could work pretty well. We've got absolutely buckets of damage. Buckets of damage. We've got buckets of buff stripping. We've got, I think this is a nice combo as well. The Uko for the revive. And then we've got, I've got Smash Lord for lots of healing and block debuffs as well. That seems fine, honestly. That seems like job done. We've got almost no control. We've got a provoke from him, but I think we just have so much damage. We just destroy everything, probably. Yeah, jeez. That's actually kind of nuts. Obviously, we could do some other stuff. Like we could bring in Monkey. Panda. Panda is good for control. You know, we've got, again, him for control as well. He's got the, you know, he's got the Enfeeble, which is kind of interesting. That could work. We could bring in some epics. Hofferys could be okay. Oh, how did open Ragash? I was over Hofferys. Hofferys could be good. We could obviously use Lockout with him, but I genuinely think that this is probably the team I go for. So that's what I'm probably gonna do. And I think that's that's the one I deleted by accident. So we come in here. Shocker. the mythical, the Marius. And we've got lots of stars on these champs as well, which is pretty juicy. We might redo... He's actually in stun set. I've got my Uko in stun set with Fearsome Presence and 6-star Polymorph. So he's sort of a weird control type champ. We'll put him in Wukong as well. We've actually got lots of Polymorph in this faction, which will slow down the farming. But it's hard to avoid it. And who was the last one? Oh yeah, Smash Lord. So Smash Lord goes in. That seems like a good, solid team. That's going to be a tough team to improve on. Like, you don't really get, we could put in a Mezamel, but I don't know, you know, that's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts right there, I think. So Skinwalkers, I'm feeling pretty confident. I honestly feel like Marius can probably just solo the whole, like Marius Wukong are probably just going to solo the whole thing. We'll see. Knights Revenant, I've got a strong team here as well. We've got Ancora Narses. Here I've got Reset, Arix, Tomb Lord, probably might ditch him. Yeah, let's ditch this stuff. I mean, sorry, let's take them out. I mean, Ancora Narses are probably staying in. I don't actually have Whirlim, I just have him for the test server. I would say Mad Hatter. Mad Hatter looks pretty darn good. Yeah, again, all that boosting stuff is great. Again, he's got the debuffs here with the ally attack. Gonna be pumping out True Fears and healing the team. I think Mad Hatter makes it, and he probably should be in the actual team as well. You know, Fortis might make it in. I did a video on Fortis recently. He's actually pretty decent. I think Thea, she puts fears when enemies lose a chunk. So Thea plus Fortis is an interesting combo. I feel like we've got plenty of damage with these two. We might want to decrease defense in there. Tomb Lord seems probably fine still. I think Tomb Lord would probably fit in well. The poisons will probably do quite a lot of damage, assuming it's quite hard. Decrease attack, decrease defense. Yeah, I think he probably makes it in. And then for the final spot, I don't know. I also do have double Calvalax. We could always just run double Calvalax could work as well. Maybe Arix. This probably looks fine. Yeah, Arix is AoE stun. I think Ancora is a ton of survivability. Narcissus is tanky. They're very tanky. She actually double duty. She's got protection, ally protection, and then AoE stun. She also can remove some buffs. Low chance, but it's there. I think that team's pretty solid. Yeah, so we'll go with that. We could. It's actually it's the exact. It's like Renegade swap for Mad Hatter. I don't know. Either way, it doesn't really matter. There we go. So it's like the same team. Almost the same team. We can use an accuracy aura as well if we need one. But yeah, Knights Rev, locked in. Undead. Undead. I mean, Sifi Rotus, it's hard to go wrong. It's hard to go wrong, but obviously we take out her. Okay, I don't think Vulcanin makes it in either. He's just in for damage. Fabian, like this is pretty good already. So maybe just an Ultimate Death Knight. Maybe an Ultimate Death Knight for more protection. And that should do it. We could always as well do this guy with the bolster set. Or this guy with a bolster set would be fine. Or shield set even. But let's say Ultimate Death Knight. This seems like a strong combo. All things considered. And we could even put Fabian in the lead. So we've got the 3 ghosts. The 3 ghosts. Simple enough. Fabian locking them out. Crowd controlling them. That's incredibly strong. One thing actually I need to try to do more is I do call increasing skill cooldown lockout. It's sort of the traditional way for YouTubers to say it, I suppose. But it doesn't actually... That lockout doesn't exist as a word in the game. So I should probably just talk more about increasing skill cooldown. But yeah, Fabian increases their skill cooldown, removes buffs, pumps out crowd control like crazy. Rotus will kill everything. Sifi makes Rotus better and heals everyone and boosts us up and keeps us alive. Vlad, really want to get a blessing for poor Vlad, but Vlad, again, AoE turn meter, steal, AoE leech, AoE decrease defense, block active skills. Yeah, he's just pumping out AoE, which we kind of lack. AoE damage and control and decreased defense. And Rotus really doesn't need the decreased defense, but it's fine. And then Ultimate Death Knight to protect. That feels good to me. So Vulcanin hitting the bench. And I've got a 5-star soul for him now in the live game, but not on the test server. Where's Mr. Fabian? Fabian. Here we go. Fabian. Leafy is 6-star. And yeah, Ultimate Death Knight. I think especially with Fabian, right? Most of the enemies won't be able to do anything. And bosses, only 50-50 that it will work, but single target attacks will hit him. I think that's likely a good place to start. Oh, I should also mention, because I haven't mentioned it yet. In fact, I have a little thing. So, more broadly speaking, for Faction Wars, I think a tier list, breaking stuff down to each role, like a tier list. Oh, who's the best? And I think covering all this stuff in the one tier, so sort of a special tier list, I think would be great for each faction. Yeah. Obviously, these teams are not covering for hard Faction Wars. You need, you're gonna need specific conditions to get the 3-star. Don't know what those are yet, but when those do come out, I think we'll have to do guides for probably each stage of Faction Wars. Like, these are the champions that really enable you to get 3 stars. Whatever. Like, you need 10 debuffs on the enemy. Ooh, Tomb Lord is great because he pumps out 4 poisons at a time, and he can deplete turn meter. So Tomb Lord will really help you get to the 10 debuffs on a target. That sort of thing, yeah? And then we also need boss guides. I don't actually know if there are boss guides for the existing Faction War bosses on the website. We need, I would say, normal and hard here. Guides for normal and hard. Simple enough. More clear that sub thing. That's a sub thing. And yeah, these would be all the... There we go. That makes it a bit more obvious. This is the stuff I'd be thinking of. But yeah, boss guides for the normal bosses and the hard bosses. Again, just quick tips. And like, I don't know, this boss puts out lots of poisons or freezes you, like the normal Faction Wars one. This boss freezes you when you hit him. It's good to have a block debuffs champion or a cleanser. Someone that, sorry, again, cleanser. That's a word I use, but it doesn't exist in game. Someone who removes debuffs. So block debuffs or remove debuffs would be. Anyway, there we go. So Undead, lock it in. That's a great core team. We're just building core teams. Core teams. Demonspawn. Ooh. Some newer champs in here. Lamassu. I mean, this team might almost. I think this team's probably done already. This team's probably done already. So we might switch out Gorlos. Yeah. So I think that's what we'll do. I think Gorlos, he's been great. But probably Sissia comes in instead. Yeah, I think Sissia. So definitely, I think, obviously enough Lamassu. Amazing champ. She's going to be resetting and boosting for a damage dealer. She also has AoE block buffs and 2 turns of True Fear. Crazy good AoE decrease attack. She's decreasing their resistance accuracy and a 24% speed aura. She's going to be absolute god tier for Faction Wars. Carnage, I think, pretty obvious as well. Number 1, he can do crazy lockout stuff in Form 1, but he's like god tier damage dealer in Form 2. Absolutely disgusting. So he obviously makes in. Sissia, I think, makes in with the burns and burn explosion, decreased defense, weaken. She'll probably go in there. I really, really lack good defense in this faction. We might take her out. I'm not sure. Withier could go in. I don't have might do like a bolster set Withier. That could be good. I don't have Duchess. Duchess would be the perfect the perfect one to put in. You bring increased attack for Carnage and for her Veils to keep them. I don't have Duchess though. Probably Withier Kymar. Just resetting, like with all these resets, it's pretty disgusting. Withier to protect. It'll probably be like this, I think. Yeah, this seems like a decent core team. I mean, Allure could still make it in and just turn me to control them. But let's assume we're gonna want Withier. Increased defense, healing. I don't have a good reviver. Like I could put in this epic dude, but I'd really rather not. I'd really not. I do not want to have to do that. This is lacking control. We could also use Helicath. I'd just be worried if Carnage dies or something. He's just dead. I don't know. This one is a question mark. We could also use Vassal. Vassal would not be bad. AoE True Fear and decrease attack. Balancing HP. You can put, burns out as well. Take less damage. If there's 2 Demonspawn, everyone gets 20% crit damage. Okay. Could work. Because, Carnage and Sissia are very squishy. I'm just gonna say for now we'll just do a bolster set or shield set on, or even guardian set. I don't know. They might just die anyway. On Withier. Could it go? Give it a go. Withier puts out Leech, doesn't she? Which would be really strong. Yeah, Leech, AoE. That could be really good. We'll see. We'll see. So we're relying a lot on True Fear. The sleeps from Kymar are not going to work super well. But I think just the massive AoE damage blitz with the Kymar reset should be pretty good. We'll see. That's the one I'm least confident about so far. Lack of Duchess. Definitely going to hurt Demonspawn. Ogryn. This is likely to not change too much. So, probably switch out him, so less damage. But this seems good. So we've got Faction Unity. Mr. Vizig. AoE burns and poison. Extending those debuffs. Giving us increased speed. Healing us. Giving us more accuracy. Our burns and poisons do more damage. We do more damage. They can't be removed, so when they're transferred, he activates them. Straightforward. We put him in with Stock. Stock puts out more poisons, blows them up. Job done. Gurgo as well. Gives us an AoE freeze and decreased defense. And then we just need defensive stuff, really. Possibly a reviver. I do think that Lizard could be quite strong. AoE freeze and turn meter pushback could be quite good. And then he's got a bit of a cleanse, increased defense, ally protection. A1 that can freeze. He seems decent, actually. We could, we could put in the rare reviver. Could work. Crazy as it is. We could also just put out heals and poisons with this guy. Heals and poisons. Single target cleanse. That's a decent option as well. I do have Cracklin. 6-star Cracklin. Reflect damage, continuous heal. AoE decrease accuracy. Activates continuous heals. He has an ally attack. One can decrease debuffs. He's an option for sure. Gerda could work. Remove a buff from enemies, puts poisons, remove some debuffs, pushes enemy turn meter back. Maybe this guy even. Drock Ghoul. He does give us a shield. And he does give increased defense, increased attack, and he has a little stuff. Maybe Drock Ghoul, so just like some shielding, protect us up, and let these guys go to work. I say that's likely. He could also just go for Shamrock. Increase defense, increase speed. Revive on death, continuous heals. Turn meter stuff. He's not bad either. We've got lots of healing with this. The main concern would just be us dying, basically. We could even take Gurgo out. If Gurgo's just going to die, we could take him out. I mean, this guy gives us... He does buff stripping, doesn't he? Removes buffs. If they've got a... Like, if they have a cleanse, their team is quite annoying. Yeah, I don't know. I probably like that. I'll stick like this. That makes probably the most sense. So it's almost the same team. Almost. But with... yeah, so just let the poisons do the work. We'll put in some ogre. I think Shamrock probably makes it in. Haven't used him in a good while, but he's a great champ. Blizzard. I think Blizzard is almost definite. Lots of protection, and the freezes is really nice. Yeah, okay, that's how Ogryn is looking. That one's a little shaky. Lack of a good reviver for Ogryn. Yeah, this also makes me definitely happy that I've got this reviver category. I think makes a ton of sense. YST suggested that. Like, I think we definitely need a reviver category. I think it's right, because it is how you look at them, right? It is one of the main considerations. Orcs is going to be real rough for me. Real rough. But I've got Khorne. This is very offensive. That's not happening. Let's remove this stuff for now. I don't have Ashnar. That would be nice. Don't have him. So I think Khorne is coming in. I think with Iron Brago. We'll put in someone to simulate Khorne. Another Iron Brago. So Khorne with Iron Brago makes a ton of sense. Got a ton of defensive buffs then. And lots of damage. Defense-based damage. After that, I mean, honestly, Shayak might not be bad. Per meter boosting, block buffs. The taunts, quite nice. Yeah, put in some hexes. He would be okay. Kreela is a safe option as well for just some ally attacks. Damage is not bad. I actually think we'll bring in some epics for the first time. I think Tagore makes it in. Healing, increased speed. That's just pretty solid. One thing we won't have will be decreased defense. We could bring in him for decreased defense and decreased attack. That might do. Low on control. Orcs will be a little tricky. I do have Supreme Galek as well, who could be pretty good. He's got AoE burn and block buffs and some decreased speed. He self-buffs increased attack. He blows up burns. He's immune to crowd control. He could be good. He's squishy, though. I feel like Khorne and Brago will cover most of the damage and help and just build a defense focused. Kreela is certainly more... We could certainly take Kreela out. And we could put him... Well, maybe he makes the most sense. Block buffs. Yeah, probably. Let's go like that. So I think that's where I'm at with Orcs. Do we have an Orcs? Orcs. I do have a 6-star Robar. He just does more damage if they're stunned. No, he has decreased defense. It's really hard. I've got him 6-star. He'll do a lot of... Maybe we should just use him because he's 6-star. He needs an increased attack, though. It's kind of awkward to fit in. So let's say... I don't know. Yeah, Trunda, you fit in for Khorne. You go in there. Actually, you know what? The better way to do this is by faction. We've got to scroll a bit. Hey, what the heck? Oh yeah, I think this is the way we go. Going with the Brago. Going with Khorne. And I do quite want the Ortigore. I think it's just very strong. Yeah, and then do we take her out? Probably we take her out and we bring in the decrease attack. Well, Brago does it. You know, we could go more damagey. We could bring in this. I'd say if we bring him in, we probably do bring in the Kreela. or some ally attacks. We'd have a lot of damage. I don't know. I'm definitely conflicted about this one. This guy is pretty good too for some bosses. Gomlock. Gomlock has a 2-turn turn meter steal. Hey, we decrease defense as well and weaken, which is pretty good. I'm gonna play it more safe. I'm gonna say Duck for the control. And yeah, I'll bring in Supreme Galek, and I think he'll be fine. You should have a lot of defense protection here. We've got big shields from Khan. Khan, I think, is really gonna carry this pretty hard. Again, do not have the Ashnar. So that's Orcs. Orcs I feel mid about. I feel like Demonspawn is the most dodgy one. I think that one has by far the weakest defenses. Ogryn's a bit dodgy. Orcs is a little dodgy. Let's see High Elves. High Elves, I've got Fina, so I'm pretty confident for this. This one, again, is somewhat tricky. We take some stuff out. I mean, Fina definitely comes in. Speed in all battles. Crit rate for... We could build around that if we wanted. I think we likely bring in Lanathril. He does have a big shield. He does have an ally attack. I think he's probably a good bet. Sort of damage and protection at the same time. Then it gets kind of tough. You know, we could bring in Deliana for block buffs and healing. Leeches and whatnot, she wouldn't be bad. We could bring in her for speed control, wouldn't be bad. Probably just bring in Supreme Alhain for damage. Probably. This faction's definitely a bit lacking. I actually think Incarnate might come in because she puts out so many buffs, and she's got a bit of a buff removal as well. But yeah, just the ally protection strengthen and a shield. She's got a lot of protection. Goes well with Arbiter. I don't know if we're going to need Arbiter. I mean, we could just put Arbiter in, and this might work. So one thing, this champion is insane. Fina is so busted, but with a full faction, allies ignore 5% defense for every buff on them. Whenever a buff is removed or stolen or expires, they get 10% turn meter. They get turn meter boosting when they get buffs. So I think that Incarnate actually goes really well. Incarnate puts out a lot of buffs that we don't otherwise have. Pretty darn strong. Pixiel will be okay. AoE freeze on a 4-turn. Increased defense, continuous heal as well. Putting out perfect fail. 2 is pretty good. He could be strong. Pixiel might actually come into it. We also do have the guys I always forget about. Basilius, though, he's got AoE stun. Triple hit. He does lots of damage as well. I think Royal Huntsman I've pulled recently. He's very good as well. Big damage, AoE decreased defense. He's very strong, but I think with the Fina, we don't need him. If I did not have Fina, this would be the guy. I'm telling you, like AoE decreased defense, 100% defense, ignore A3, and an A1 that gives some increased attack. Phenomenal. Goes very well with Lanathril too. I think maybe this sort of team might be the team though. So yeah, we basically just throw in Arbiter Incarnate. And this team is going to be... It's still pretty darn squishy, but hopefully the Incarnate keeps Arbiter alive. What does Incarnate do exactly? So, when she's killed, resets the revive for Arbiter. Okay. And she receives 20% of damage from ally Arbiters. If an ally Arbiter is about to be killed, gives her unkillable. So the Arbiter will live, and it will reset her cooldown. I think she counterattack. She has a chance to counterattack when Arbiters hit as well. Yeah, I think this is the team right here. I think this is the team. Yeah. Incarnate actually going to be good for something. It's the long play, but she might actually be good. Sorry, we skipped Dark Elves, which is a tricky faction. This team actually sucks. So this is by far my worst faction war team. Yeah, it's my worst faction war team. And this is going to be a difficult one for me to complete. I mean, we got good champs, but probably something like this. Supreme Kale is just very squishy. And I don't have... There's no good reviver. I certainly don't have one. Old Chromax, maybe he gets buffed. I actually think that, this guy could be pretty good. He's going to be slow, but he's super tanky. Gets us through. Just a super tank team. And heck, we could even go with this guy. I've got him 6-star. He heals us, doesn't he? Heals everyone whenever poisons tick. Sleeping people, ally protection, continuous heals. This might be just the super tank team. We would also have her. She could be good. We sort of lack healing. Well, with this team, yeah, maybe like this. Just the tanky defensive team. Oh wow, something like this. Yeah, just debuff them, blast them, wear them down. We could also go Supreme Kale, like if we've got enough protection with everybody else. If I had him 3-star, I'd be pretty confident, but without the 3, a bit more risky. But his poisons are pretty nice and extending them. Maybe like that. You know what? I want to use Supreme Kale. I want to believe in him. I also I do like I do like Fatalis. I do, but yeah, let's go Supreme Kale. Let's do I think a Supreme Kale team seems pretty cool. And Supreme Kale hits hard. Now, he won't have an increased attack. No, he will with Mithrala. So yeah, we got poisons for days. And finally using Knock the Paralyzer. So yeah, lots of crowd control, provokes, sleeps. I guess the sleeps don't really work with the poisons, but lots of poisons. Extending them at Supreme Kale. Decreased defense, we're just going to blitz through everything. So long as Supreme Kale doesn't die, we're good. If I had to revive, I'd have to use I guess I use Rian the Conjurer. Not great. You do it. Guess you take out Physics. Rian. Bit meh. Bit meh. Fatalis is a good damage option if we want someone tankier. I think I'll be okay with Dark Elves, actually, looking at it. It's better than I thought. We've got Madame Ceres as well in here. He's an option. Cold Heart might be a bit difficult to keep alive. Crack Hearth, nah. Yeah, I think something like this. Probably the way. So I think that's Dark Elves. Actually, I feel reasonably confident. I thought that would be a really bad faction, but it actually seems okay. Yeah, seems fine. Okay. Sacred Order, this is one I expect to be stupidly easy, to be honest with you. So I think we come in Sir Nick, Lady Noelle, Venus Cupidus, and then, I mean, what more do we want? We could put in him just for even more protection. We could put in Martyr for counterattacks, increased defense, AoE decreased attack, though we don't super need it. Wixwell brings us buff extension, shielding as well, increased defense, AoE decreased attack. Seems pretty nuts. Got this guy as well. We could put in Alice. No, I wouldn't put in Alice. Cupidus self-buff increased attack. He-Man would be good as well. Self-buff increased attack. Hits really hard. This faction seems very easy for me. Got this. We could put in him for lots of healing and provoking. It's pretty good. Lots of really strong options. This one seems just giga easy. Easy mode. I rethink Sir Nick, Noelle, hard carry. And I've got them in good builds because I use them in Arena. I think they hard carry and it's... And yeah, decreased defense weaken from her. Cupidus self-buffs does damage, so does Sir Nick. Throw in the He-Man. Just go full damage. Full damage and just survive Noelle, Sir Nick. Seems honestly god tier. Not gonna lie. Cool. That feels very... And we've got multiple options if that doesn't work. Barbarians up next. This should also be giga easy. Giga. Okay, so he's in there for increased attack. I think for the purposes of the faction crypt, we probably just put in Armand's. Thor, Armand's Freya feels pretty good. And then we could go maybe Alsgore and Jetney. I'm a little worried about Jetney. Alsgore, 100% decreased speed on attackers. Full heal, 2 turns of block damage. Removes all buffs from all enemies on weak hits if Jetney's there, and continuous heal. Okay, and Jetney comes in. AoE decreased defense that cannot be resisted if Alsgore is there. Stealth buffs, extra turn if Alsgore is there. Ignore shield if Alsgore is there. She's actually not that essential. He's pretty good without her. You just play it safe and put in Syl. Like, this team is god tier. Like, just spamming the stuns, some buff stripping. Thor murders everyone. He doesn't need decreased defense either. I think this is the safer bet. Go with the safer bet. You know, and we also have Loki. Loki's very good as well. Farrakhan, great too. Lots of really strong options. Again, that's going to be, honestly, a very easy faction. Loki, what does he do? So he steals turn meter. Increase attack, so he potentially boosts us. He has the AoE block active skills and block buffs. Pretty good, on a 3-turn. And its A1 is extending enemy debuff. Loki's pretty great. Loki or Armans, both great options. I'll say Armans just because he's got gear on him. Alsgor, and let's put in the Syl. And that seems good. Tons of protection. Syl plus Freya, tons of protection. Armand's just by himself is enough crowd control. Syl's a bit of backup. Yeah, Alsgor. Maybe Alsgor is overkill. Do we even need him? Do we even need him? Or are we just going to destroy everything? I don't know if we even need the Alsgor. We're just so unbelievably strong. Again, lots of really good options here. We could even go Alika. We could go Xena, Warrior Princess. Xena, Warrior Princess. We could go Turvold. I don't know. We could go this chick. Just more stuff. We go Yakarl. We go Ursica for more protection. Yakarl when we're down. I am spoiled for choice with this faction, I'll be honest. You know what? Let's just go Loki, and let's just go super debuffer. Let's go full Asgard. Thor, Loki, and Freya. If I had Odin, he'd be in there, but I don't have Odin. We're going full Asgard divide on this bad boy. Asgard divide with Silver Drakes and Armans. Job done. Barbarians, that seems very easy. Bannerlords, this should be very easy as well. Kind of a Giga faction. So yeah, we can ditch some of this stuff. Androck, he's coming in for sure. I think Timit Kaja come in for sure. Timit's actually good damage dealer and bringing crowd control. Androck, lots of protection and healing and turn meter boosting. Kaja brings the revive, the turn meter boosting. I mean, we could just go like this and be super safe. So again, 2 damage dealers with control with Staltis and Timit. 2 revivers and an Androck. That's kind of giga. Or we could just go Stag Knight. Stag Knight might be just fine, actually, instead of Ursula. We don't need the increased attack. We don't need her defensive buffs. We've got Androck. We probably don't need her revive, let's be real. I think Stag Knight be fine. Stag Knight this. We still have... Yeah, that seems ridiculous. That's a crazy team right there. That is a crazy team. We could just bring in Quintus as well. He self-buffs as well. Rhonda's even there too. I'm going to keep Stag Knight in. So we'll go with him. I think almost definitely Timit Kaja is just going to be too good. And probably Staltis. Probably Staltis just to be safe. He's tanky. He's got the AoE stun. It's just a good, safe option. So yeah, we'll go with that. That feels real solid to me. Dwarves up next. I've got 2 mythicals, so this should be easy. And a Trunda, my god. Terrible defenses here, though, mostly. And we've got him in a bolster set's pretty good. Could also have him in a bolster set. Honestly, that might work. That team right there. I mean, I feel like Frolny will do plenty of damage. I'm actually kind of lacking, honestly. I've got 2 mythicals and then a few legendaries that aren't great. Tormund is also a good option. Tormund's a solid option. We can't really go wrong with Tormund. I think something like this, though. Tormund with some freezes. One thing we're a bit lacking would be Burns. I think Burns with Tormund could be crazy strong, right? Because Tormund starts going machine gun if they're frozen and burned. And we could have freezes from him and from Fjorad. We've got a little bit of burning from Brogni, but I probably won't build him for burn. Trunda can burn. Do we do a burn Trunda? Places burn for 2 turns. I mean, we probably just do the Trunda. Got so much damage. Maybe too much damage. Yeah, I feel like that's too much damage. I feel like the double bolster set, tons of defenses, Frolny as well. That feels very tanky. That feels super safe. Just crush through anything. I've got 2 newts that aren't even making it in. The newts don't even get a look in. Trunda! 6-star Trunda, I think doesn't make it in. I think this is the team. I think this is the team. We've got plenty of control. We've got plenty of damage. We don't have a decreased defense, and we don't even care. Do I even have... Is there even a good decreased... There isn't even a good decreased defense champ in the faction. Not that I've got. Am I missing something obvious? No, not really. I don't think so. This Fodbar? But he's not a good one, though. He's just... Does it? No. Probably just leave Fiora at Form 1, just support, and yeah, just let Frolny kill everything. We've got a 6-star Frolny. Let him go to town, right? That probably works. I think that probably works pretty well. Looks like I deleted Dwarves by accident as well. So we'll go in, the Dwarves. That feels fine. Yeah, I feel like I don't have that many options with Dwarves, but I feel like the options that we've got are pretty hard carried by 2 mythicals. So the 2 mythicals plus a Torment, and then just a couple of defensive champs to keep alive. And we're good. We do have a Melga if we needed a revive, and she's got healing and shielding. She'd be fine. We are low on healing, to be fair. Well, actually, no. Frolny Form 2, not very useful. Actually going to be very useful for this. If he needs to use Form 2, it's a ton of healing. Yeah, so I feel like we're very solid there. Okay, Shadowkin up next. This is my current team. Pure damage, baby. Pure damage. This faction is terrible supports. Yikes. Like, what do we even do? Karato is an interesting one. If there are mythicals especially, he does have AoE block active skills that can't be resisted. It does crazy damage. So squishy. We've got control of Mikage. We probably put in... Probably take out the Karato. Could put in Kimmy for, like, turn meter. So just, like, use Mikage Form 2. Plus Kimmy pushback. I don't know. This would be an interesting one. The defenses are pretty lacking. Like, legendary-wise, I've got nothing. 0. I mean, you bring in Jinro. Yeah, this could be a tricky one. I mean, we've got insane damage, though. Like, we've got this guy, Gentoro. We've got 5 stars in Ogre. Blade Master, she's actually really good. Ninja, Mikage is bonkers. I think maybe this is the way to go. We've got buff stripping, decreased defense. We've got the AoE freeze from Ninja. We've got stuns from Mikage. We've got lots of turn meter pushback. We've got lockout. We're so squishy, but hopefully it's fine. I mean, even revivers are super lacking. Kinagashi, that'd be kind of desperate if we got to use her. I think we just hope to not need her. So we could even just leave him in there. Like, he's probably fine, Karato. I think Kimmy makes it in. She's going to bring a lot of control, a lot of turn meter pushback. Shadowkin's going to be kind of spicy. That's a spicy faction. Spicy faction. This is what we might we might end up just going like pure damage and just try to blow shit up. You know? We're kind of going pure damage, blow shit up anyway. We might lean even more. Maybe we bring the Karato back in. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, he's not really... We're going to just die if we get hit. I actually think Karato comes in. With the Yumiko, I mean, the dude's putting out 2-turn stun and resetting his skills. Now, he's not going to stun anyone. He's not going to have any accuracy. But he's got the block actives. And he can potentially do a lot. I think he might be all right. He makes Yumiko better as well. So, yeah, we probably like that. It's going to be spicy, though. That's going to be spicy. So yeah, Karato makes it in. And then the last faction. Oh, hidden faction. When will it arrive? Nobody knows. For Sylvan Watchers. Okay, I mean, So Podrick probably makes it in here. You know, we might even bring in this guy. I've not used King Galkabar ever, but he does have full cleanse, puts continuous heals out, and a big old shield. And then he's got AoE with buff removal and puts out poisons and block buffs. The dude's actually kind of legit. So I think actually King Galkabar, he's been on the bench. He's been warming the bench forever. I think he might make a comeback. He actually has this really cool, like, faction type thing. Look at all these things at the bottom. Others don't have that, do they? No. He's got a really cool, like, trees at his feet. I'm like, he's the king. Isn't he the king of the Sylvans? Probably. Yeah, I think he comes in. I think Aestrid, I do have her 5-star. I think she probably doesn't make it in. I think like this. Dahi is optional, but so much damage. I think with Eilil and Dahi, Eilil definitely takes priority. He is a monster right now. Eilil's really strong. Dahi probably still comes in. He can remove some buffs. He can boost us. I think that Podrick is good. Again, the increased speed, the turn meter boosting, the ally attack with continuous heal, reducing, yeah, and buffing up everyone. I think he is a strong addition. Actually, he's not that essential. We could bring in a Creodan. And Creodan is going to do a similar job of boosting us. We've got increased speed from Elva anyway, but still, he's got the AoE freeze on a short cooldown. And freeze A1. He could actually be really strong. So lots of protection, lots of damage, crowd control. I feel like there's options in this faction for me. Yeah, we've got Podrick, Aestric could come in. Lots of options, honestly. Yeah. Maybe like this. King Alkabar, though. What an addition. What an addition. Yeah, that's nuts. I think he actually might make it in. Again, probably in like a shield set or a bolster set or something. But yeah, the buff strip with yeah, I think that's probably the way to go. I think old Galkibar, and I think Creodan is just such, and he's +4 as well. He's just such a beast of crowd control and relentless as well. And he's blasting. And there we go. They are all the factions. Let's go through them one by one. So here we go. We've got Bannerlords. Epic. Stag Knight makes it in, but I feel very confident about this faction. Androck, I think, is going to make it very easy. Timit Kaja, again, a bad fusion. I think it's going to really come in clutch here. Yeah, Timit brings a ton of buff stripping, and he's a crowd control monster with Kaja. Like, he's very good. Oh, I can't even show it to you. But he's AoE True Fear, and then he starts provoking enemies as well, and he's removing their decreasing buff duration. I think that's very powerful. Yeah, and Stag Knight for the decreased defense and decreased attack, even some decreased speeds, some increased accuracy should we need it. We get increased accuracy from Timit as well. Androck can do two things. He can do two jobs. Sorry, I can show you Timit right here. But yeah, he's got AoE True Fear for one turn, but then he can yeah, he gets turn meter, and yeah, he can provoke them as well, which is sick. So he can chain fear into provoke, which is kind of nuts, and cycle through his moves very quickly. 4 turns, but he's an extra turn if Kaja is there. So Androck can be both the huge buffs, huge healing, even increased defense, but he's also giving us tons of turn meter. We can also swap him into form 2, and he can become an AoE 2-turn enfeeble, an AoE buff strip. He's going to be absolutely crazy good for this. Crazy good. So yeah, I'm very confident there. Elves, this is spicy, but yeah, I think Incarnate Arbiter. Fina is really hard carrying this. Again, without the Fina, like I said, I thought the Royal Huntsman guy was really good. You could use Tyrell otherwise, AoE decreased defense. Yeah, we've got 2 champs with shielding, lots of protection. I think Incarnate's going to be pretty useful here. Fina is just such a freaking monster. Supreme Elhain is just going to just delete everything. Fina's buffs are so absurd. She is probably, I mean, she's not, she is in like a lot of the best. She's probably in the best Demon Lord team. She's definitely in the best Hydra team with Trunda. She's in the best Chimera teams, but you certainly need Galathir for the Chimera ones. It's harder to make her work in Chimera, but she's a freaking monster. And yeah, one of the best faction unities, definitely for PvE. She's going to be insane. It's going to be easy. Sacred Order. Actually, this one's a little spicy in terms of defensive. Like, if you don't have Incarnate, defensively, this faction's pretty weak, I think. Pretty weak. But yeah, for Sacred Order, I feel this is super easy. I mean, we've got 2 couples, and then whatever. He-Man for more damage. Crazy damage. Wixwell for more defenses. Crazy defense. Like, I feel like that's just an easy lock-in. Alice for more damage and lockout if we want lockout. Probably not. We wouldn't have increased attack for Alice, but yeah, the 2 couples, I think, easy mode. Everything is covered. Crowd control, survivability, healing, debuffs, damage, everything. Barbarians feel super easy. Again, the Asgard Divide champions are so strong. Syl coming back in. I think she's been power crept, but she's still very good for this. Don't know if I'll need her. Might not need her. Armands as well. Crazy crowd control. That seems great. Yeah, Thor's just so strong. No decreased defense. Thor's going to solo everything. No stress. We can bring in Alsgore Jetney if we want, if we need. I don't think we'll need it. Even bring in War Maiden. Might be fine. Yeah. Ogryn is a spicy one. Ogryn going in with the this is a bit tricky. Going in with the poisons. I'm not 100% sure about this one. This one's a bit dodgy. Will Gurgo just die? Is the question on my... Gurgo might just die. So we might take out Gurgo. We might take out Gurgo and just kill them with poisons. You know, like, let's probably do that. I'm actually going to say that right now. I am not confident. Gurgo, I find Gurgo very difficult to use in Arena as well because of it. We just probably just put in this dude, right? And we just go like, just give us shields. We just tank it up with these guys. And we just let Stock and Visig just melt everything with poisons and burns and explosions. Seems, yeah, I think that's the way to go. Just tank it up and Stock Visig melts everything. Lizards, first one we looked at today, Lazarius hard carries. Definitely actually a tricky fact. I think without Lazarius, this would be a lot tougher. But yeah, I think the Krisk Necmo is a lot of control. Lazarius is just so god tier then. I think we're fine. We might adjust it a bit, but that feels very solid to me, honestly. Skinwalkers, giga damage. 3 bonkers damage dealers, then Uko and Hakorn. Yeah, I'm curious about this one. I actually think Gallia is going to be very useful. We can use him in Form 2 for AoE decreased defense and buff removal. Spamming that, we can use him in Form 1 for AoE provokes and increased defense, revive on death. I think he's very useful no matter what. I'm pretty darn confident about that. Orcs is a bit spicy. I think Khan, Trunda masquerading as Khan. Khan is going to be great here. Khan is going to be an MVP. Strengthen, shielding, massive damage. I think him with Brago is a beautiful combo. And Tagore, I'm not as sure about these 2 spots, but we'll see. Orcs is a bit tricky. I'm very happy I pulled Khan. I think Khan is going to fit in beautifully. And Tagore, epic, makes it in. One of the few epics. And yeah, I'm not so sure about Duck, but he probably makes it in as well. Demonspawn, spicy one. Plenty of offense with Carnage Sisia. Not sure about survivability. Will the 0-star Wither be enough? I'm very unsure about this one. Very unsure. Lamasu's god tier. I think these 3 are just so strong. Offensively, the Wither is decent. If I had a Duchess, very confident. Without Duchess, not confident. We'll see. Undead, very confident. The 3 ghosts. 3 ghosts plus an ultimate Death Knight. AoE block active skills, decreased defense, Terminate Steel Unleashed just for good measure. Feel good about that. Dark Elves. For tank it up and poison them to death is looking to be the way of things. And yeah, that's fun. Noct coming back out. Lots of healing. I guess the question is, can a 0-star Supreme Chaos stay alive without a reviver? Again, we've got plenty of options if he can't. So I think this is fine. We could just throw in Fatalis, and I think it's good. I think it's plenty good at that point. Knights Revenant, highly confident, and Cora Narcis, so strong. Mad Hatter, so strong. Arix, great as well. Bam, bam, bam. Login champ, recent fusion, one of the best fusions last year. Guaranteed champ. Tomb Lord for good measure. That feels easy enough. Dwarves, double mythical hard carry. We could have used Trenda either. I don't have a Senna. That would make it very easy. Dwarves actually feels pretty decent. There's incredibly strong champs in Dwarves. Senna. The mythicals are pretty good for this. Trunda's very strong. Tormund's very good. You sort of have to have the good ones, though. I think we've just enough good ones to get through, I think. Sort of, again, tank it up and let the mythicals go to town. Shadowkin is actually one of the most dodgy ones, looking at these through again. Basically, zero. I have like no good defensive options for Shadowkin, like 0. It's pure offense, but very strong offense. I mean, Mikage is just that good. Yumiko Ninja, kind of spicy. Will this be enough? I don't know. This might be a disaster. Not sure. Well, we'll see. We'll see with this one. I'm not 100% sure. We've got some crazy good control, though. Crazy control, but my god, is the protection bad. And then finally, Sylvan Watchers. Again, I feel like with Elva, Eilil, Kalkbar, again, 2 epics. Dahi and Creodan, 2 of the best epics in the game, to be fair, coming in. I actually feel pretty darn confident about Sylvans, and we got Aestrid, we got Podrick if we need them as well. Lots of good options there. So I feel pretty good about that. There we go. They're all my factions. By the way, whenever they do add another faction, we need another preset. We only have 15. We need more. We need a 16th preset. Please, Raid, make it happen. More presets, please. There we go, though. That is a deep dive into Faction Wars, almost an hour long. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy this mammoth video. Yeah, give me any feedback, any tips. If I missed any obvious combination, let me know, because there was a lot to cover here today. Yeah, thank you for watching. As always, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.